All right, all right, all right. Welcome, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. How's everyone doing tonight? Let's go ahead and get this thing going. All right, guys. So we're going to get started. This call tonight is going to be about how to buy real estate at 60% of the value, how a marketing and negotiation strategy can get you great deals. Now, here's what I'm going to let you know about this training before we get started, because I want to make sure everybody understands. When I say that we are buying it at 60 cents on the dollar, I do not mean that it's fixed up and it's worth 60 cents on the dollar. So a lot of people think that when I say 60 cents on the dollar, that means that the house is worth, once you fix it up, it'll be worth this much, and you're getting it for about 60% of that number. What I'm talking about is buying the house at 60% of what it's worth today. So if the house is worth 100,000 today, fixed up is worth $200,000, you're buying it at about $60,000 of because today, and it's worth $100,000 today. So we're not talking about after repair value. So that is an even bolder claim than just saying buying a property at 60 cents on the dollar, because you're buying it in the market that it's in now. You're buying it as it stands now. So it's a great way to look at a deal. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into this and get started. So let's talk about what you can do and what's possible. If you are an investor, if you had a way to always find a profitable real estate deal, and not just find a deal, but know that you were going to get the deal and know that it was going to make money, if you could get one, maybe two or four or six deals a month, how would that change things for you? What would that allow you to do? Let's talk about it. If you could buy these deals for less than the house is worth now, that's what I'm talking about. We're talking about what it's worth today, not what it's worth fixed up, not what it will be worth eventually or anything like that. We're talking about what it's actually worth today. If you could buy the property for that number, what would that do for you? If this process wasn't affected by the economy. Now, I know that's going to be a shocker to you all, because everybody knows the real estate is so tied to the economy. But what if the way you buy and sell properties, you could get around the economy, you could get around the market, and you could get around your competition? So you would beat out your competition. What would that do for you? Okay. If you could do all of this and turn a profit on the deal quickly, no rehab, no tenants, nothing like that that you had to deal with, what would that do for you? Would that make your life easier? Would it make you more financially stronger? What could that do? Well, today we are going to learn this process. We're going to talk about how you can do exactly what I just mentioned in the last slide. We're going to talk about what makes that possible. If you're a new investor, I want you to get in here and learn before you make another move. So I talk to a lot of people and they're like, I'm about to buy my first wholesale, or I'm about to buy my first rental property. Before you do any of that, watch this training, because it's going to make a lot of sense for you. If you are an experienced investor, don't buy another property until you see this. Even if you have experience, you've done fix and flips, you're comfortable with it, you've done the Burr method, watch what I'm going to show you on this training, because it can make a really big difference in your business and allow you to grow much faster than you are right now. I talked to an investor the other day, and she said her goal was, she was a seasoned investor and she wanted to do about 4 deals a year. 4 deals a year is great, but you can do so much more if you change your strategy, and it's not going to be more work. It's actually going to be less work than 4 fix and flip deals. If you are on the fence about real estate investing, this training may change your life. How many? Let me know in the comments, which one are you? Are you a new investor? Are you an experienced investor? Or are you somebody that's on the fence about if you should even get into real estate? Just to get an idea of who's in here, let me know where you are in your process. If you're still just learning and you haven't done anything yet, if you've done maybe the first things, or maybe you've taken a course or something like that, or maybe you're an experienced investor, you've done a deal, let me know in the chat which one you are. Lynn, you're a new investor trying. That's very good. We're going to talk about some stuff that's going to blow your mind. So just be patient. And Eve new, that's good. That's good. We're going to show you some stuff that's going to change the way you look at real estate. You just have to let go of some of the stuff you believed before. Shelton, you're a new investor. Great. This is going to be good information for you all. So let's get into this. But first, before we get into it, how do you know this will work? This is a picture of me and my beautiful wife, Aisha. My wife, Aisha, and I have been in real estate for over 25 years. Joan, you are on the fence, and that makes perfect sense for you, because this is going to help you make a decision when you see what's involved. My wife, Aisha, and I have been in real estate for over 25 years. We've done everything, and some of it by choice, most of it because we wanted to. We've done rentals. We were landlords for about 20 years. We've done fix and flip. We bought properties, fixed them up. We've done wholesale where we're buying a property, getting it under contract and selling that contract. We've done the BRRRR method. For those of you that don't know, BRRRR method means the buy, rehab, rent, refinance, and repeat. So you're buying a property, fixing it up, renting it out, then you're refinancing it to get the money out and repeat. We've done rent to own, and we've done other stuff. We've done more than that, but those are just a few of the ways that we've tried to get into real estate to be successful with it. And we discovered a process that was faster, easier, and more profitable than all of these. And we know because we've tried them, we've worked them for years. And what we do now, I would not trade it for any of these, knowing what I know now. We have been quick turning real estate for the last 10 years and never look back. So for those of you that don't know, quick turning real estate is the process of buying a property. It is not wholesaling, not dealing with tenants. And because you're buying the property, you have way more control than wholesale, and you make a lot more money than doing wholesale because you control the entire process and you can sell to a much larger audience. There's no need for buyers list. There's no need for contractors. It's just an easier process. So we'll touch on that in a little bit. So this training that I'm about to break down for you is in two parts. So it goes down in two parts. Part number one is first, how do we find deals? Because the way we find deals is going to make a difference on how great of a deal we get. How do we look for deals? What are we doing to look for deals? And then how do we get sellers to call us? Because if you've done anything like cold calling, driving for dollars, looking on PropStream, looking on Zillow, sending out a letter to foreclosures, all that kind of stuff, you are doing what's called outbound marketing, which means you're trying to reach out to people in hopes that they're ready to sell. What we want to do as investors, as business owners, because we teach you how to build a real estate business, is we want incoming marketing. We want marketing that gets people to call us, that they raise their hand. Now, why do we want that? We want that because it is easier. It is exponentially easier. It is much easier to get people to call us and raise their hand and say they're interested than it is for us to reach out and randomly try to get people to find out if they're interested. What happens when you do outbound? How many of you all have done outbound marketing where you've done driving for dollars, or you've done sending out, a letter, or you've done PropStream, or you've done cold calling? How many of you all have done this? What typically happens is you get burnout. You get burnout. You get discouraged. You feel like this is stupid. You get tired of people hanging up in your face. You get tired of spending your gas driving around just to find out that people don't want to sell you a house. So it gets very frustrating. Good. Lynn, you said you have. Joan, you have. Well, that's one way to do it. And I'm not a big fan of that because I did it before for years, and it is tiring and frustrating, and it will make you feel like you're wasting your time. I'm going to show you a different way that makes more sense and it makes more money. That's the most important thing. How do we get sellers to call us? Now, the second thing we're going to talk about is how do we negotiate deals? Because whether you know it or not, negotiating the deals is where the money is made. Now, I know what some of you all are thinking. I don't know how to negotiate. I'm not a good negotiator. What if you're not comfortable negotiating? I'm going to give you a framework in this video, in this training, that's going to explain to you how to negotiate, even if you're not good at negotiating. It is much easier than you think, and I'm going to show you how to do it. The second thing we're going to talk about is how do you actually make the offer? How do you actually talk to somebody and say, hey, this is what I want to offer? So we're going to talk about all of this. So this is going to be a little bit, I'm going to go a little bit fast because it's a couple of slides to go through. If I go too fast, you don't get something, in the comments, just make a note, a question, or say, hey, Art, I got a question about this, and I'll try to slow it down or break down whatever thing I'm going through at that time. Okay. All right. So let's get into this. Part one, how do we find deals? There's a concept called garbage in, garbage out. The more time you spend preparing to find deals, the easier it will be to find deals, if that makes sense. Your chances of being successful are a shot in the dark. You might get a deal, you might not find a deal. You might drive around for 6 hours and find absolutely nothing. Now, here's what you will find. You will find some abandoned properties. You will find some properties with the grass that seems extra high. You will find some properties that have a for sale by owner sign on them, but you don't know if those are deals. And there's nothing like wasting your time, and it's not even a deal, to, you're wasting your time. You're spending your time driving and spending your gas money, and you don't have anything to show for it. To get the best deals, you have to start with marketing. I don't care where you're at in the country. I don't care what you've been doing. You're going to have to market. And the better you put together a process to market, the easier it will be for you to do these deals. Most investors, when they market, they look for the wrong things. So how many of you all have tried to market or find deals and you're looking for stuff like foreclosures, or maybe you're looking for vacant property, or maybe you're looking for tax liens, or you're looking for city code violations? These are all things that investors look for when they're marketing. Now, why do they look for these things? They look for them because they think that these things means that they're finding a motivated seller. That's what they think. They think that this stuff basically represents a motivated seller. And their logic is, well, hey, the seller's motivated, so there's a good chance they're going to want to sell the property. So that's why they do it. But here's the thing. All of these things, all of these different setups ignore the real thing we want to make money, the real thing that we're after. Now, what is that? The real thing that we're after. We want equity. We want equity. That is all we care about, or at least all we should care about as an investor. Okay? Equity. Why do we want equity? Equity is the money in a house that is not debt. So let me give you a quick example. Let's say the house right now, in whatever condition it's in, it's worth $100,000, and the seller owes $20,000. They have a mortgage and they have $20,000 left on that property. That means they have $80,000 in equity on that property. So that property has about $80,000 worth of equity. That is something we want to go after. These sellers are not in foreclosure. These sellers are not behind on taxes. These sellers are not fighting city code violations. These properties are usually not vacant. So it's very obvious that yet these sellers have a property they want to sell, and people are missing them. Investors are not reaching out to these people because they're busy looking for these foreclosures. Now, here's what they're thinking. They're thinking that these people that have equity probably aren't that motivated, or they're just going to go through a realtor. That's probably what you're thinking. You're saying, well, why would they sell to me? They can just go to a realtor because they don't have any distress. Well, there's a good answer for that. The main reason that they will go through you is that many of them don't feel like going through the process with the realtor. They don't want to show the house. They don't have time to wait for it to sell. They just want to get rid of it. I've given countless examples of people that are in these situations, people that inherit a house from their family, and maybe they live out of state, or people that are moving out of state because of a job, and they don't have time to wait for it to sit and list, or people that are landlords that no longer want to deal with the property. They don't want to deal with tenants. They are just so frustrated. They just want to be done. All of these people and many more scenarios are reasons that people would sell without going through a realtor, and they would sell to us. These people have property and they are being ignored by the general market, by most investors. Does that make sense to you guys? Does it make sense why they would be why people would pass them up and why they wouldn't just look there? So how do we get them to call us? That's the next question. How do we get these sellers, the ones that have what we want, which is equity, how do we get them to call us? We market to sellers with equity as the biggest criteria. So we pick out people that we know have equity. So if we're in a market of 100,000 people, we are not marketing to everybody. We are marketing only to those that have significant equity in their property. So that already reduces the number of people we're talking to. Sellers with equity have houses in good condition. So if you're used to looking for houses that are run down and dilapidated, you don't have to do that with this. You don't have to find properties that you're scared to go in at night. These properties can be livable and comfortable. Sellers with equity need to sell. They have a situation and they need to sell. And here's the thing. Here's the beautiful thing about this. A lot of times they're willing to give some of their equity up if they can just get the thing done quickly and just without problems. And that's where we make our profit. So it's different from just looking at houses and trying to make money on houses. This is actually working with people and what their situation is. It's just a different way of looking at things. Sellers with equity are often ignored by your competition. No one is reaching out to them. I've bought properties from people with a ton of equity, and I say, did you talk to another investor? And they're not talking to other investors. Every once in a while, Some investor will reach out to them, but it's kind of random, where they were looking for somebody that maybe was, they had a city violation or something like that. It's very random when they look for them. They're not doing it consistently. Sellers with equity have enough money to give you some and still walk away happy. That's the secret. So that person that had $80,000 in equity, let's say they could only walk with 40,000 and pay off the mortgage. They might be okay with that. They might say, well, that's $60,000. That's what I can live with 40,000 profit and $20,000 in equity. So, I mean, $20,000 paying off the mortgage. So it just fits for a lot of them and it makes sense. So it's not enough to market to sellers with equity, though. Let's get into that, because I want to make sure you understand that. Just saying I'm just going to go find people with equity is not enough. What if we could identify areas where buyers want to buy? That's the other side of the equation, isn't it? The other side of the equation is we find people that have property with equity, but then on the other side, those properties are in areas that investors and homeowners and everybody wants to buy. So these are in areas that people want to buy. What if we could identify those areas and only buy properties in those areas? What if we could identify areas with fast sale times? Think about that. What if we could identify areas where they sell quickly, the houses sell quickly? So the average house sells in less than 30 days, or the average house sells in 35 days, so that we know not only do people want to buy in that area, but the houses are going quickly. Would that make it easier to do these deals, to find deals? What if we could identify areas with low foreclosures and limited competition? Now, you might say, why do I want an area with low foreclosures? Well, it's very simple. You want an area with low foreclosures because that area is going to have less competition of properties available. So think about it. The thing with the low competition is that the low competition and low foreclosures are just areas where there's not as much low price stuff that people are fighting for. We want that. We want stuff that people need to pay market value, or they don't see as many deals. They don't see as many deals. So we want to identify areas with low foreclosures and limited competition. And what if we could find that on a consistent basis? Here's the thing. We can use numbers or data to identify exactly what I'm laying out here. And there's a simple thing that I go by. It's a phrase that Jay-Z used at an award ceremony, but it makes so much sense. He said, men lie, women lie, numbers don't. As a tendency, when we're picking out an area, we have a tendency to be biased. We have a tendency to look at areas and say, oh, I think this is a good area to buy in, or I think this is a good area where people are buying, or I think investors are buying in this area, or I think people are just buying in this area. We don't know. We're going off of what we feel. And the problem with that is our feelings are not always right. We could have saw one deal in that area, and that's not really that's not really what the area represents. Let's use actual numbers to figure out where we should buy. And we do this in our marketing. Remember what I told you. The more time you put into your marketing before you actually market, the cheaper your marketing becomes and the more profitable the deals are that you put together. Okay? So what's the difference from what everybody else does? Why is this different from what everybody else does? Reason is most investors focus on the ARV of a deal so they can fix it up. Now, some of you all might be thinking ARV, and you're like, what is ARV? ARV is after repaired value. So it's when they look at a house and they say, this house, once it's fixed up, is going to be worth this much money. But remember, the houses that we're getting, they're not in bad shape. They don't need a ton of fix up. And at the same time, we're not looking to fix them up. We're not looking to sell them at top market value. We're just going to negotiate for some of the equity. We focus on buying the equity that the house has now and selling it to get some of that equity. Does that make sense to you all? We're buying the house as it's worth now and then selling it to just get some of that equity. We've done our work when we do the negotiation. Okay. So that's what makes what we do valuable. We get our profits when we buy the deal without ever swinging a hammer. So we're not fixing property up. We're not putting a bunch of money into the property. We're not dealing with contractors. We're not doing any of that. We make our money on the negotiation, if that makes sense. ARV changes drastically. When you're dealing with rehabs, investors, what happens with investors, they buy a property, they expect that the ARV to be this, and it takes them 3 months to fix it up, and the ARV, or the after repaired value, changes after they, after they do the house, after they fix it up, or after they put all their money into it, the actual value changes. And that's what we don't want to have. That's what we don't want. That's what we don't have with this, because we're buying and selling quickly. Okay. So part two, let's talk about how do we negotiate. We've gotten these sellers to call us. We've gotten people with equity. We've gotten them to, now we need to figure out if they're motivated, and we need to see if we need to make them an offer. So how do we get them? How do we negotiate? How do we negotiate with these sellers? What are we doing to get them to let us make them a low offer? Because I know that's what you're thinking. You're lowballing them for an offer, but that's actually not it. I'm not good at negotiation. That's what a lot of people are going to say. I'm not good at negotiation. What do I do in this situation? I'm going to give you the secret to great negotiation, especially in real estate. This is the secret to great negotiation. So pay attention. We don't negotiate. We don't negotiate. We just let them talk. We let the seller talk, because the more they talk, we're going to ask questions until they tell us what we need to make them an offer. Okay. Now, I know that might sound weird, and it sounds like, oh, that's too easy, Art. That doesn't sound right. It works like a charm. I cannot express to you how well this works. Ask questions until they tell us what we need to make an offer. Even if you can't negotiate, you can win just by asking questions. Now, I know if you're here, you should be able to ask questions, and that's going to help you win. How do we actually make the offer? We use the ALO framework. This is a framework we put together, and it's what we do that makes a lot of sense to make offers. So we're going to talk about this. Ask. The first part is ask. Ask them what they want. Most investors never do that. Ask them what they want for the property. Okay. Ask them why they want it. Why do they want that amount? How did they come to that number? Where did they get that number from? And then we're going to ask them, what will they do when they get that number? So you ask them, so Mr. Johnson, what do you want for your property? He says, I want $100,000. Okay, why do you want that amount? How did you come to that number? Let them talk and tell us why they came to that number, where they're getting it from. They're usually going to tell us not how they came to that number. They're going to tell us what they need to use the money for, or why they want to. It's just they're going to give their information. Then we're going to ask them what they will do when they get the money. What's your plan? What are you planning on spending the money on? Now, there's a reason we ask that question, and I guarantee you most investors don't ask that question, but we'll come to that in just a second. The second part is we're going to lead them. We're going to lead them to lower their expectations on that call. Now, this is all by phone. We haven't gone to the house. We haven't seen the house. It's not necessary in most cases. Now, if you want to go to the house, you can, but to be successful in this, I'm telling you, that is not necessary. Next, we're going to lead them to the pain of not selling. So we're going to remind them why they are calling us, why they want to sell in the first place, because we want them to experience or relive or feel that pain of why they want to sell, so that they say, yeah, I want to go ahead and get rid of this place, because they're calling because they got a pain or they got something they don't want to deal with. Next, we're going to lead them to know you will make an offer. A lot of people, when they call investors and say, I want to buy your house, they're afraid they're not going to even get an offer, or they just want to hear the offer. We're going to change that, and we're going to give them a framework, and we're going to let them know that by the end of talking to us and answering these questions, they're going to get an offer, and that's going to keep them on the phone and keep them talking to you. So that's very important. And the last thing is we're going to offer them. So ask, lead, and offer. We're going to make them an offer. Now, you might be thinking, what if the house is too low, or what if I don't want it, or something like that? We're going to make them an offer. We're going to offer terms. That's why we ask them, what will they do when they get it, when they get the money? Because if they're not going to do anything with the money, maybe we can offer them terms that will make it attractive for them to take our number and finance the property themselves. So think about it like this. Person says, I want $50,000 for my house, or whatever number. And I'm just using these low numbers, so don't freak out. They want 50,000. And I say, well, what if I can give you 55,000, but I'll pay you off in a couple of months. So you won't get it right now, but you get it in a couple of months. And they said, yeah, I'd be willing to do that. And I'll get a higher price for that. You just created owner financing, and you don't have to go to a bank to finance your deal just by asking two questions. It's that simple. And it's not much more complicated than that. Next is to frame your offer as their solution. If somebody tells me that their pain point is that this house is too painful, their mother lived in this house and it's too painful for them to go back to that house and deal with it, then I'm going to frame my offer as, we'll take care of the house. You don't have to go back to the house. This is the number that it'll take to do that. I'm going to frame my offer in a way that addresses their pain, not that addresses just the number. Because in most cases, the number isn't the problem. It's the pain or whatever they're trying to deal with. That's the problem, if that makes sense. Okay. So ask, lead, offer is the framework. So what does all of this get you? When you do all of this stuff, first of all, let me ask, did I lose you guys? Are you all following along with this? Has it gotten too complicated or anything like that? Are you following along with this framework of how to get these deals at a great price and properties that are not falling apart? Let me know in the comments if you're still following along with this. Okay. Gerald, good. You got it. You understand. So what does all of this get you? Okay. What does all of this get you? Let's talk about it. You will get consistent quality leads asking you to buy their house. People that are constantly good. I'm glad Meredith, Joan, good. I'm glad you all are getting it. You will get consistent quality leads asking you to buy their house. People that have nice property in nice areas that want you to buy the house, and you can negotiate to get a lower price. You will get control of the negotiation. They are calling you. You are not calling them. So they can't say, oh, I don't want to talk about it. Oh, I don't want to talk to you right now. Oh, I'm busy. They called you. That's a huge negotiation power move because they can't ignore you when they call you. Now, if you call them, they can act like I don't know if I want to sell right now. They have control because you called them. But getting them to call you is key to controlling the negotiations. You will get to make an offer that works for you. A lot of times what happens, especially with new investors, and it's one of the reasons new investors lose money, is because they do this. They put out some marketing or they go look for marketing and they finally get somebody to call them, or they find somebody that's willing to talk to them about selling their house. And they're so happy that they got this one person talking to them that they just make an offer. The person wants this much and they're scared. They can't make a lower offer because they're scared they're going to lose the offer. And so they make a higher offer than what they really feel comfortable with, and they run the risk of getting a bad deal. And believe me, there's nothing worse than getting a bad deal. The next worst thing to not having a deal is getting a bad deal. But let's look at it this way. More leads means less risk. If you have more leads coming in, then you're less concerned about if you get that one specific deal. And so it actually lowers your risk because it'll give you confidence to make the offer that makes sense for you. Does that make sense? Because of the fact, so if I've got one property that I got to make an offer on, and that's all I've got, I've been looking for 3 months and I've only got one property to make an offer on, that's not that great to me. And I'm going to try to do whatever I can to make that offer work. But let's say I got 10 properties. Let's say I've got 10 properties and I'm making an offer on all 10. I'm going to make the offer that makes sense for me on all 10. And whoever says, yes, I'll take it, that's who I work with. So do you see how that lowers your risk? And it makes it so you make better decisions for you just by your marketing. It's a very key part that you need to understand. Our students right now are buying houses at 65, 60, even 50% of what they are worth now. Those are huge numbers. Those deals are going to make money because they have no place to go but up. Even if the market were to adjust really quickly or something like that, they can still turn a profit on those deals. Okay. That's what it's going to get you. That's what all of this gets you. So do you want help building this kind of business? If you do, let's set up a quick 15-minute call. You can get started in real estate today. We can talk to you about what it takes, what you need. I'm putting a link in the chat. If you want to set up a call, this is how you set up a call, and we can talk to you about what it takes. We can see where you are at and give you the best advice on how to actually get there. That best advice. Some people are ready to go right now. They've got a little bit of working capital. They've got credit. They've got whatever they need to have to get started. We can talk to you about that. Even if you're not ready, we have some other resources we can share with you so you can see. But the first step is to check out and set up a call. As a bonus, we will share some resources with you, like how to secure financing and a specific strategy for you to get started today. Even if we can't work with you, we'll share how you can get started today on your own. We'll share how you can get financing. We got a lot of resources that we can share with you. So these are all things that we're going to share with you on this call. The call literally costs you nothing. It's a free 15-minute call. Set up a call. You'll be shocked at how far you get with this, and it's great information. Okay. Now here's the link to set up a call. If you can click on the little, not click on it, but you can use your phone and take a picture of the little squiggly thing that goes, I'm not tech savvy like that, but you know, the squiggly thing, you press on, you click on it and it'll take a picture of it. It'll let you put that link in. You can, if you're in the live chat, you can click on the link for the live chat. Other than that, you can click on this link in the actual, on the actual training. Okay. These are all great tools. This is the process. We have used this to buy multiple properties. We've bought portfolios of 20 properties at a time. We've bought single family properties. We've used this process to buy multiple millions of dollars in real estate. And here's the thing. A lot of times we're able to put together finance. We've got some great financing sources. We got financing that does 100% financing. We've got financing that allows you to put the payments into the loan. We've got financing that allows you to get a line of credit. And then using that line of credit, you can consistently buy properties. You don't have to keep applying every time. We share all of that stuff with you. We'll give you access to some of that stuff on the call and how you can get into that stuff. This is to move you forward. If you're interested in real estate and you think that you want to get started, but you're not sure, my wife and I, we personally take a very big interest in helping people get started in this business. Now, part of the reason is because we offer people that work with us the opportunity to go into commercial real estate when they get to a certain point. And that's another option for you, and it builds your business even larger. But this is the first step. The first step is to set up a call with us, talk to us, and we'll see if we can help. Was this something that was beneficial to you? Let me know in the chat. Was this beneficial to you? If you're not going to set up a call, let me know why you're not setting up a call. You know, message me directly or put it in the chat if you want. Let me know why you're not setting up a call. What is holding you back? Are you scared? Or good? I'm glad it was helpful, Zoom user. I'm glad, Joanne, I'm glad you got something out of it. I'm glad you all are getting something out of these calls. We do these calls every Monday. During the year, we do them every Monday, and I get on here and we talk about different subjects: financing deals, finding deals, getting into different opportunities. We do all kinds of opportunities. We set these up so that you can get as much information as possible because we want you to grow in this business. And whether you work with us or not, we would prefer, obviously, if it makes sense, we want people to work with us. If it doesn't make sense, that's okay too. I actually want to see you win. And I can't say that any more sincerely because I want to see you win. I want to see you get started in this business. This is a great business. It's profitable. It gives you freedom. I don't have to work a 9-to-5 job. People that learn this business and go through this process don't have to work a 9-to-5 job. It's got huge benefits. And all of this is based on you taking the first step and setting up a call to talk about where you're at, where you want to go, and if we can help you do that. Okay. So I hope this information is beneficial to you. I hope this information helps you grow. Again, here's the link one more time in the chat to set up a call. And I wish you guys the best. I will talk to you all later. Have a great week. If you missed the call, if you didn't get into the call, that's okay. We will put on the training, the replay of this tomorrow. We'll be sending out a replay of this training tomorrow. So we'll be talking about all of this and how to get your deals at a discount. You'll be able to catch the entire thing from beginning to end. Okay. So one more time, if you're interested in more information, set up a call with me. I will look forward to talking with any and all of you. Me and my team will look forward to talking with you all, and we'll see you next week. We'll see you on the call. All right, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you got something. Have a great night. I will talk to you all later. As always, happy hunting.